you still with me? I hope so. Because now we're going to go on to the functions that were called throughout this piece of code. So the first one we've got is getPasswordList, which we will return an array of objects, not strings, to create our list. So what are we doing? Right, we are using a DroidScript method called createCrypt in order to crypt and decrypt our passwords to our local storage to keep secure. So we need to load them up from our local file, which allows us to be able to store all this information for use another time when we've closed down the app and restart the app. So we load the text using load text, we get our passwords, and what do we do? Well, we need to generate a list. So we need to create an array of these objects. So we call the JSON parse file, we also call the crypt method decrypt on the passwords. So that's going to return a string. This will return us a string which is all cryptic. I'm going to decrypt the string here using our password key. Then we're going to parse it. Hopefully it's going to be correct syntax, which should then return an array of objects, and that's what we're going to return. So this getPasswordList should return us a perfect array of objects that we need. Okay, what is save passwords to file? Oh, where's that one? That is being called, okay, from further down. So I can go back to that, or I could just tell you quickly what it's doing. Save passwords to file. This basically receives an array of objects, which is the same as this one. What we're doing there is we're using the crypt function, which we've generated here, and we are encrypting the array, which the array of objects we've converted to a string using the JSON.stringify, and then we're going to encrypt that string and store it in our local file. That's what it does. Okay, moving on. Uncontrolled touch. We did it up here. This is the 3-bar button, this one here. And what it's going to do, let's have a look. It's going to menu.show. Now menu.show, we've got our menu here, and there is a built-in function called show and method called show, and I think one's called hide, and it will simply show that list that we've created. Now the menu itself, when we created it here, it has a event called setOnSelect, and we trigger it when we call callback function is menu-on-select. The menu-on-select callback function comes with the choice, which is automatically provided to us, and what that is the string of the menu option itself, which you initialized it with. So if I go and show you there, we have master password, or we have close menu. So these are the strings that are passed through to this callback function. What we're doing is just going through the we're just interested in master password. So we will then call a function called show master password, which is going to load up the pin code dialog, which is a fallback for the fingerprint recognition stuff. This function won't exist just yet, so I'm not going to press it, but if I was to press this, it's going to call this, and so we'll do that later. That's for another tutorial, and I'll go through that afterwards. Okay, moving on. Right, this LSM on select, where are we getting that one from? Well, that's actually called from within remove selected, and on select. So this is called when you press the list item here. So what do we do with that? As we can see, what it does is it gets the selected items, which returns an array of all the items that that have been selected. If it has a length, then show it. If not, hide it, because we don't want to see it if there are no items selected. It's just a visual thing that we want to do. Okay, moving on, we've got the Untouched function here. Now, what the Untouched is will be triggered when you press on a list item. And for our comfort, or for our luxury, it has a few parameters provided: the title, body, and the index. Index being the index of the list item that you've selected, and it's triggered when you press on the item itself. So what we want to do is we wanted to show a dialog box called edit password, and we're going to have the title and the description of our password that we have created, and we need to be able to edit it. So for example, I want to change that from 1122 to 1144, and we press save and we see it change there. So how do we achieve that? Well, we've got a little global variable here, because what we do is, well, first of all, we have a show progress, which just adds the swirly thing for a bit of UX feature there. Then we just check if the dialog box has been created before, because we don't want to always create this modal dialog box every time you press that. It takes time to build it and to show it. So if we can speed that process up for future clicks, it's just a better UX experience. So what we do is create a modal, which is using a material UI component, and create modal. You have the title of the thing, we have a description, save, cancel. So you've got body text there. For this one, we're not using it. We're having a button, save, cancel, and oh, it's gone now. Move out of the way. I'll be able to show you what it is. Okay, show. So we don't want it to appear. We want it hidden. It only show at a certain time. Right. We attach an event to it called set on touch. Modal edit button on touch. I'm going to trigger that. Actually, it's triggered here. I'm going to call it there. And that's where we're going to save our changes. So what we need to do for this dialog, I should show you. We create a layout container to house the the fields. And what do we need? We need a two text boxes, one for the key, one for the actual password. And there is a control for that called create text edit field. So we've set the key and the value using that. Then we add the child, add them to the container. Right, what we're doing here is we are storing, we're adding a variable to our modal edit password dialog, and we're going to store the index, the selected index, and we need that for when we press the button because we want to know which item to update. So we are then setting the texts of each field to the title and body of the one we're editing, and then we're going to show the dialogue. Simple as that. Okay, so moving on to the Untouched Event. We need a cancel and a save. So if it's not a save, we just want to return straight away. Otherwise, we want to grab the index of the item we're updating. If it doesn't exist, return it. Otherwise, we are going to get a new item, create a new item to add to our password list. So that's going to contain the title, body, and icon. Icon is the font, material font lock. This is what you see up here. The title, we're going to get the text of this, and then for the body, we're going to get the text of this. So if either the title or the body is empty, so if we don't fill it in properly, and I can show you that going there. If I try and save now, it's going to fall into here. So you need to fill in both fields error saving. So it should come up with an thing. Oh, no, that doesn't. Okay, well, we can, maybe because I added a button in the key. There, you need to fill in both fields. Error saving, so it hasn't updated it. So if I just change that, that's because I'm using a keyboard and doing lots of crazy things. There. So what do we do? Set title text, set title, set body text. Right. So if both fields of the dialogue are filled in, what we need to do is there is some good methods here. This method for the list object, the list control, we're able to update the title, which is this one, for any given item, and all you do is pass the index to it. So what we do here is we say, right, update the title text for this one. So if I just put in 3-4, what we're doing now is we're updating that title there, and then for this one we're saying body text, update it to that one. And what we also want to do is we want to save passwords to the file, which I think I've already showed you up the top. There you go. Yep. And what we're doing there is we're passing it the whole list. Actually, we're just going to pass it the list. What this does, this method for the list object, list control, will pass an array of objects. So it passes all of the objects in our list, and we're going to save that to local storage, a local file, so we have all of that data stored in a persistent format. So next time we close the app and then reopen the app, we have all that data. Okay, moving on. Remove selected. Right, now this is the function that we call when we press the remove selected button. What does it do? Well, we are going to use LSM get selected items, which provides us with an array of objects of all of the selected items, ones with these blue ticks on. There is a function or method in the list object called remove items. So all we need to do is pass through all of the items that we want removed. So we get the array of items here using get selected items, and then we pass them to this method called remove items, which will then throw them off the list. If I add a new one to this, I can show you. Yo-yo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So do save that one. We've got yo-yo. And if I select this, go remove selected, that's what it does. Boom, swipe off. So that function there, that method will do that. So what do we need to do? We now need to save our current state to the local file, local storage, so we can obviously persist the new list. Obviously we don't want those items we've just removed kept on there for the next session. So again, we just do this. Get the list, send it to save passwords to file, and we do that. Okay. And for one final thing in remove selected, we're just calling the onSelect function, which is the callback function for this. And the reason being, we're just using, we're calling on that to remove this. Remove this button, basically. Very simple. We could call the button hide ourselves, but if we do it this way, it's a better way of doing it, because then we can keep the control, the programming into this little function itself. Okay. Right, fab on touch. Well, that is what it says. That is the event triggered, the callback function triggered when you press the FAB button. What do we need to do when we press this? Well, we want to be able to show a dialog box with a password key and a password value. When we press save, we want to be able to add it to the list and also save it to local storage. So how do we do this? Well, what we're doing here is creating, showing the progress. Now I'm using a different way of checking for the existence of this dialog, but what we want to do is just probably want to do it this way. So modal password loaded equals 0. Well, you can actually just modal loaded, and then you can put a false somewhere in there. You can do that if modal password loaded, or you could just do that. So now we're going to only run this if it equals 1. So we need to just make sure that one is there. So now this is only run once. It's just to speed things up, as I say. If you have multiple presses, we don't want to keep creating the same thing. It makes it quicker, makes it more user friendly, I think. So what are we doing? Well, we're creating a modal. We're calling it add new password. We're giving it 2 buttons, and we don't want to show it straight away, so we can control again, but we could have true there. We need to add the event, so we got the callback function for the set on touch, which is down here, which I can show you. It's very similar to the other one with editing, but I'll show you that anyway. We need to create a little layout container. In it, we're going to have the 2 fields, password key and value, and then we're just adding them to the control. We don't need to give them a value because, well, this is a new field. So onto the saving, and it's very similar to the other function, of course. So you have 2 parameters come in, is okay. Button text, it is okay, obviously. If the OK button is actually the save button here. Button text is also what's sent through, but for now we're just saying, right, if the cancel button is pressed, just return it, we're not interested. Else we want to create a new object, and in the object we want the value from the key, the value from the password value 1, which is here. And again, if they're empty, if either of them are empty, Then we show an alert box saying you need to fill in both fields, give it a title, and we just return it because we don't need it anymore. Else we want to basically, there's a method here for the list object and it's called an append item, and what that will do is add your new entry to the bottom of the list. What we could do going forward, and I'm not going to do it on this tutorial, but you could, if you wanted to, do a sort on the list items and then redisplay in alphabetical order, ordered by the title maybe. But that is out of the scope of this tutorial, but it's easy enough for you to extend this application and do it yourself. Anyway, what we need to do now is we've appended it to our list and we need to save it to our local storage to keep the data persistence going, and it's available for the next time we open up the application. So that is the list in a nutshell. What we're going to do next, and I will show you that in another tutorial, is how to add the fingerprint recognition and the fallback pin code dialog.